Going live. This week on the Virtual Skeptics. Waiting for it. Bob is out nerded. Eve is anti-skeptic, phrasmonic, and even contemptuous to have caused such percombobulation. I did it right. And there's someone else. I'm your host, Brian Gregory. Ask me about my robots. Go ahead, ask.
Hey, Brian.
What about your robots?
Ask me what they can do for you.
What can robots do for me, the home viewer, Brian?
Absolutely nothing. Get your own damn robots. They're mine.
I feel as if I stepped into that
Yes. Yes, you did. Thank you.
It's the revenge for the introduction, I think.
Thank you for being cooperative. Or whatever. Thank you for your support. Hi, this is the Virtual Skeptics. If you're watching, I'm sorry for all the mess. Let's see. I'll introduce my crew. This crew. Our crew. The crew that is here for you. First up, we have Bob Blaskiewicz. He's House Conspiracy Guy, web columnist, blogger for Skeptical Humanities, and Swift blog contributor. Next up, we have Eve Siebert, editor and blogger at Skeptical Humanities and contributor to Skepticality Tonight. Tim Farley, our resident lanyard shill, is not here, and in his place, we have Barbara Drescher. There she is.
Hey, Barb.
JRF Educational Programs Consultant, occasional blogger at ICBS everywhere, and contributor to Swift and The Odds Must Be Crazy. What is The Odds Must Be Crazy?
The Odds Must Be Crazy is a wonderful website where people share their crazy stories and coincidences. And what I do before them basically is Wendy Hughes, who runs the site currently, sends me stories that people submit, and I talk about, sometimes I'll actually calculate the odds that whatever they think is coincidental or is cool would happen. Or I talk about the factors that go into determining what the odds are, or why it may not be as crazy as you think they are. Or I'll talk about the psychological principles behind why we think it's so cool.
Interesting.
So
it literally is about crazy odds.
Yeah, it's all about crazy odds, and they do a little podlet, is what they call it, a little segment on skepticality.
Interesting. Very cool. So if you guys are watching, check that out among the other listed things.
Now Barb is going to be...
Barb is going to be... What?
Barb is now our go-to person when we have geology questions.
Oh, that's... Yeah.
Tell you who you have to ask?
Yes, that is a rock.
We also need a Bigfoot person. Does she know anything about Bigfoot?
She probably does. We'll be good.
Yeah? Okay. Awesome. So all the Bigfoot questions and the geology questions from now on will go to Barb. Welcome, Barb. Let's see. This is Virtual Skeptics. If you're watching and you want to participate, too bad. No, I'm kidding. You can post your comments or funny stuff or questions. Actually, we prefer questions on Twitter with hashtag Virtual Skeptics, or comment on the YouTube channel. Or if you can figure out this Q&A.
Did you just call it the YouTube channel?
YouTube. It's new. It's the YouTube. Yeah.
The worst social media site ever.
Depends on Rule 34, I suppose.
I think that depends on your perspective, Bob.
That's true. That's totally true.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And lastly, if you can figure out the Q&A app on Google+, you can ask us questions. See? It's Q&A, question and answer. If you put a comment on the Q&A list, I'm not sure we know how to do anything with it. So we might just scratch our heads and move on. I'm sorry. But we'll try to answer questions that way. And let's see. We've got stuff to do. First up,
trivia.
Yeah, there's a trivia question. Bob, you going to do the trivia question this week since Tim is not here?
It's true. So, PsyCop was founded at a conference that began 38 years ago today and is still going on. No. What country has a PsyCop-like...
year-long conference.
Yeah, that's a long one. What country has a PsyCop-like organization called, roughly, the Committee for Skeptical Investigation of Paranormal Phenomena, that will have its 65th anniversary next month.
Wow.
Yeah, 65.
Wow, Tim. Thank you, Tim, for that long question. So that's the question. I'm not going to repeat it because it's too long. Thank you for asking. Okay. Who's first this week? I guess we're gonna make Barb go first this week because she's going to talk about something about pancakes.
Yeah.
Yum.
This is a great story that popped up in my Facebook feed this week. And you know how I love stories that pop up in my Facebook feed.
Yes, I hear that.
This one is about somebody who found Jesus in their pancake. If you can bring up the first picture. The funny thing about it is they were...
That's not Jesus.
Yeah, I know. Everybody in my feed said it was, like Jerry Garcia and...
It's Edgar Allan Poe.
Oh,
Edgar
okay.
It could be.
Somebody actually said Rasputin. The funny thing about it is if you look at the bottom, you see how there's a little pancakes attached to the bottom of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's upside down. They were trying to make Mickey Mouse.
Ah, that's true.
This is a wonderful Easter story, actually.
Oh, God, that means Disney's going to sue us for using this picture. Quick, take it down. Never mind.
So they were trying. This is a quote from the guy who owns the Cowgirl Cafe in Northern California.
Cowgirl Cafe.
The night before, and he's talking about his wife Karen, decides to pray about something, and the next day on Good Friday we get this pancake. It looks like a picture of Jesus looking down. He's looking down over us. So
He's looking at your hash browns.
You should probably be able to buy this on eBay soon because they've got it in their freezer and they're looking into more, permanent solutions to preserving this pancake. So I imagine they will be selling it. Hopefully it'll go for more than the $28,000 that the
Mary grilled cheese.
Grilled cheese went for, a couple of decades ago. So anyway, I like the last quote as he says, "I can't explain why God does what he does. Neither can I, but I can't explain this." So, it's interesting because, if you've never seen holy food before, which I'm sure we all have, there's plenty
like
of
Swiss cheese?
No.
Ha 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 ha.
Yeah, this is a lot like the pancake of the Virgin Mary, which is the next slide.
Oh, they're hugging.
A lot better
It's
than
so
the pancake
cute.
of the Virgin Mary. That one doesn't look anything like the Virgin Mary to me, but not quite as good in my opinion as the nun bun, which is the next slide.
I see
That
a
looks
bunny.
that looks like Tim Minchin hugging a very tall woman. The next one?
That's probably what it is.
Okay.
A little bit,
And then-
yeah.
Yes.
Wearing
The
a
Barbara
cape.
yes.
While wearing a cape, yes.
The
And
Mother Teresa bun.
one of my personal favorites, the nun bun, yes. The nun bun, where we don't really know where it is actually today. And one of my more recent personal favorites is the next one, is the Cheesus. There's lots of Cheesuses actually. There's
I like cheese.
brain Cheesuses. And for those who are interested, I have a collection of these on my website, and the link will be in the show notes. Or the potato Jesus, which is the next one.
Oh boy.
Sliced potatoes.
See, that looks like somebody, had something in, like, fried it in there or something. I don't know.
It does, but I think the only thing that makes me think that is the little line that looks like the board that he's standing on.
Yeah.
The rest of it, yeah.
Still not as good as dog butt Jesus, though.
That's true.
I thought about including that one. That one is on my website. I have a pretty vast collection of this stuff. This is called simulacra, actually. You probably thought it was called pareidolia, but that's the behavior of recognizing things in familiar objects, that in patterns that weren't made to look like that but do. That's pareidolia, and the things that cause that are simulacra. and this is driven by, an evolutionary process of perception that's, some of it is actually built in. So it's very interesting because we're really programmed to see faces. And yeah, that next, the picture you're looking at now is, if you take babies that are, days old, they will actually stare longer at the one on the left than they will the one on the right. So that's one of the reasons why we know that we have this special built-in face recognition kind of, hardware. So some of that is built in, and we have special areas in the brain, obviously, that are devoted to recognizing faces. So just about anything that looks like a face or is arranged like a face, has eyes and something down here to indicate a nose or a mouth or both, is going to look like a face to us. You can find all kinds of websites with pictures of, car grills and spigots and all sorts of things.
So is simulacra, is that the trigger? Is that the...
Yeah, that's the
stimulus?
The actual image that you're looking at that makes it look like, that triggers the behavior of pareidolia.
Okay.
Is the behavior of ascribing some sort of meaning to it that it doesn't have.
I so have to show my students this.
Yeah, I have so many favorites of these, but my absolute favorite is the last slide.
I love this one.
Yeah.
Look at that.
My Facebook profile pic.
Creepy tree.
Creepy tree. That's just a picture some guy took in a parking lot outside his work and posted it.
That is a very, very grumpy tree.
It's great.
See, that would be a much better M. Night Shyamalan movie.
Grumpy tree?
Grumpy tree.
Which god is
If you're going to be killed by a tree...
Yeah, if you find out outside your window late at night one night, and follows you home from work.
It's Kit from Futurama.
It could be. It could be an ent.
Yeah,
a grumpy ent.
It could
a
be.
young grumpy ent.
You gotta wonder if somebody wouldn't. I would actually take a marker to those little knots and make that, but it wouldn't be quite as cool as having it just happen naturally.
It needs a beard.
Yeah.
There's so much of this to go around it, and I think that anytime anyone sees a face or a figure that looks like some draped, thing, they see Jesus or the Virgin Mary because it has so much meaning for them, and that's what they want to see.
Or Elvis.
Or Elvis. So yeah, there's the Elvis rock. There's a great one. But once you see something like this in something, you can't unsee it. I mean, try not seeing a face in that creepy tree.
Yeah.
Or try not seeing a face in the pancake. I mean, you can make it look like, tell yourself it's Jerry Garcia, but and not Jesus, but it's a face, and you can't not see it. It's great. I love it.
It's even better than those faces you can buy for trees in the Sky Mall catalog.
The hell are you talking about?
I'm sure there are people listening that know exactly what I'm talking about. You can buy faces and put them on the trees in your yard from Sky Mall. Go look in the Sky Mall catalog. You'll see. It's creepy.
Do they look like tree things, or do they look like?
They look like gnome faces or something like that. Yeah. You can put the eyes and the
what?
beard. And, yes.
Why? Why?
A tree man?
Do you have to ask, Bob? Really?
They sell Bigfoot things in Sky Mall, so.
They also They sell all kinds of very interesting things. Awesome. So I learned a new word.
Simulacra.
Simulacra. Sounds like some okra.
Pareidolia sounds better. So.
Which, I could probably find pareidolia in some okra if I wanted to. But bump.
Yeah. That was good.
You like that?
Yeah, that should be in the show notes. That's so funny.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Yeah,
and since you're talking, you get to go next, Bob.
Me?
Yes.
Okay.
You've the talking cat.
Yes. All right. So, this weekend, I was in Virginia, visiting.
Sorry.
It was okay. It was a lot of fun.
Virginia's nice.
The weather was better than here.
it's true. It was gorgeous. It was like 75 and just a little breezy. It was perfect. But I spent the entire week inside at RavenCon. If you could bring up the first image, please.
I'm putting up the first image.
Yes, this is RavenCon with Flat Stanley. Flat Stanley is...
Hi, Flat Stanley.
Yes. Barb's laughing.
I was enjoying this.
No, because last year Barb did me a favor and took Flat Stanley out to California to see, was it lacrosse, right?
Yes, he played lacrosse, and he got his picture taken in front of an orange tree.
It's true.
Yes.
So
I made him an LA shirt.
So he went with me to Virginia because I have another nephew, and they're doing the same project again this year. And so
he also went to Chicago.
He did go to Chicago. We have pictures of him in front of American Gothic, two people looking grumpy, and then Flat Stanley!
Yeah, he was cheering him up.
Yeah, it needed to be. Yeah,
he also provided the head of a Greek statue that had lost hers.
Yes, it was pretty good. So, but RavenCon is an annual celebration of mostly sci-fi fantasy novels, and there are a lot of authors there, a lot of writers. Cat demanding and needs attention and gotta go away. God, all right, yeah.
It's okay, Bob.
I'm losing the fight with this cat. I'm just gonna have to turn it over. Yeah. Okay. So, Sharon was there, and Nathan was there as well. Hi, Nathan. We spent 3 days checking out the panels. Lots of really fun ones. The Handwavium Drive panel was a lot of fun, as was the first one I went to was great.
The what panel? What is it?
Handwavium Drive.
Handwavium Drive.
Yep.
Is this a sci-fi thing or?
Yes. Handwavium. It's like phlebotinum. You know.
Or unobtainium.
Yeah, basically.
Or infinite improbability.
Exactly. The first one I went to was about that thing that you hate that everybody loves. And so everybody sat around and had a kvetch. It turns out that absolutely nobody likes any of the new Star Trek movies at all, in the slightest.
What?
At all. The new, yeah.
I love them.
These people, they were pretty pissed off.
Well, it's a self-selecting panel apparently.
Yeah.
You wouldn't show up unless you got something to complain about. So.
No, it's the entire audience. Nobody liked them.
Okay.
Yeah, these people were purists. So, geek snob. You know, I had an airing.
Yeah, they didn't like Star Trek before it was cool.
Ah, okay.
Nerd hipsters.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's kind of.
They weren't cool before it was cool to not be cool.
Yeah, pretty much.
Right. But I had my few moments griping about Cosmos, which I generally like, but I have problems with this iteration of it. I think part of it stems from the word that from the fact that the word ass was used 2 weeks ago, because it's Seth MacFarlane as far as I can tell.
In a historical recreation, you mean? Yeah,
it was unbelievable. Anyway.
So you're complaining about the accuracy.
There's a lot of accuracy issues, and it also feels a little...
the real context of the history there.
Yes. So, and the crappy accents that they give the cartoon characters.
Yeah.
Horrid.
It has flow problems, too. It doesn't flow very well. The last one flowed a little better. Not the last one I saw, which was deeper, flowed a little better, but it does have some flow issues. But I have problems with the accuracy, too. I think it's watered down so much that there's actually some things that are just flat out wrong in it. Things that I have had difficulty teaching in the classroom because they were so ingrained. The thinking was so ingrained with simplistic thinking. So.
Yeah.
I agree.
You guys are such nerds.
Well, The
Not
thing
an
is
insult.
that bothers me about Cosmos is that people who would have absolute conniptions if a show got something wrong about science are just if someone points out they get the history wrong or are simplifying it to such a ridiculous degree that it's to all intents and purposes wrong. And it's like, yeah, well, so what?
Because it's Neil deGrasse Tyson. I love him too, man.
Well, he is one of the sexiest men alive.
Yeah.
But you know what's really bad is RavenCon is what we should be complaining about really right now.
No, RavenCon is beyond.
No, just their choice of speakers.
Well, there's that. They have no choice, no taste.
Mm-hmm.
But Sharon and I were dispatched there as agents of CFI. Barry Carr arranged for us to go, and we brought a little bit of. The thing is, I talked to Michael, the guy who pulled the whole thing together, and I'd like to interview him in the next couple of days, maybe over email for some sort of write-up. But he was saying that every year there's a lot of this ghosty type stuff going on, and he wanted to bring in the other side. Yeah, and that's commendable. And I think that, as DragonCon shows, there's a lot of overlap between the audiences. So it was a good time. The first night we did science or pseudoscience was our topic, and then our hotel was hit by lightning. And, yeah, it was... I missed it. I was in the middle of the hotel. Yes?
Did the hotel have a 13th floor? That
No.
might explain why it was.
Did not go that high. It only went up to 8. However, someone on the 6th floor, this was the rumor anyway, had pulled the alarm, but it turns out that the lightning had basically reset the system and the alarm went off.
Did you check your pancakes very carefully the next day?
Huh?
Did you check your pancakes? For
No,
strange images?
No. Anyway, so then I did my conspiracy theory panel the next morning, and it's not a conspiracy theory panel until someone asks who you work for, calls you an idiot, and leaves. Every single time we do this, Eve, every time we do a weird panel, there is a weirder person. And yeah, he was very.
I was going to
upset.
say, what did you do to piss off Sharon? But okay.
Oh, buzzing. No, but we all went to each other's panels. She did one on monsters for little kids, and actually, this was kind of encouraging.
To terrify them into behaving better?
No, she's like, so what do you know about Godzilla? And this little girl up front, she got like maybe 6, maybe 7. She goes, oh, he was the first kaiju. Like, you are this daughter of a nerd. That is, yeah. So I didn't know what a kaiju was. I had to look it up.
There. If my daughter was there, I would have expected it to be her. She's also an original Godzilla fan. So.
And then they mentioned, I think Sharon mentioned Cosmos, or no, one of the kids there mentioned Cosmos, and the little boy sitting across from her goes, "Oh, you're watching Cosmos too? That's so cool." So that was good to see that these kids are into it, and they got to think a little bit about these monsters and where they come from, and it was a good time.
And at the end, they were eaten.
They were devoured by the troll.
Mm.
Yeah. But, yeah, it was a good time. Flat Stanley, if you go to the next image.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah, he crossed...
being beat up by the Klingons?
He crossed into the neutral zone.
Ah.
Yes. And then there's another one coming up where he got stranded on Tatooine, and a sand person had his paper-mache way with him. And then I think there's one more picture, maybe.
There's Sharon.
Oh, there's Sharon. That she's talking about werewolves there.
Yep.
So
awesome.
Yep. That's
and
what.
There's a kid in the front row. That's not her kid. So.
No, it's not her kid. That's someone else's kid who was a loner for the weekend.
That looks like a were-gorilla.
It kind of does.
Based on the length of the arms. I'm pretty sure that's a knuckle walker.
What do you think, Barbara? Since you're the going to answer these kind of questions, is that a were-gorilla?
It looks like a werewolf to me.
Okay.
Actually, it wouldn't be a were-gorilla. That would be a human gorilla, but whatever.
It kind of looks like one of the movie werewolves. Because I've seen some movie werewolves. That's about the extent of my expertise.
That's all we needed.
You made a very strong effort to answer the question. I'm really happy. So.
We appreciate it. Most of the time, we just bullshit our way through those. So that's totally good.
I'm okay with saying I don't know.
Were her co-panelists ghosts by any chance?
No, it was just her.
No one else.
No, it was just her on that one. It was, when they were soliciting ideas for standalone talks, she threw up that one.
Yeah, I just noticed there seemed to be other chairs.
Yeah, but there was one other panel that we attended. I think it was the first night, and it was the ghost hunters. And at our kind of science or pseudoscience panel, just the session before, we were talking about, well, what makes how do pseudoscientists impersonate scientists? And one of the things mentioned was, oh, well, you'll see them wearing lab coats, and then in the next one, the next panel, the first thing they do is they put on their frickin' lab coats. Yeah, it was, and it was hard to exactly know what they were. I'm not exactly sure what they were trying to prove. It was like they had gotten to high school chemistry and had learned how to do some of the demonstrations. And so they pour acid on something and it changes color. And they go, science! And
they learned the garb. They learned the garb was, But I'll tell you something. I've never worn a lab coat except as a costume.
Really?
I know.
What was the costume? Because we're all waiting to know what the costume was.
Yeah, a scientist. In the RavenCon parade type stuff. But some colleagues have, and they've done it to do social experiments on conformity and kind of recreating Ash's stuff because you can't do Milgrams, but things like that.
You can't do Milgrams anymore? Come on!
You can, but you get kicked out of school.
Oh.
So that's when they use lab coats. Other than that, psychologists don't use lab coats. I'm sure chemists do, and probably some of the biosciences use lab coats. But
there was actually it was kind of disturbing because they did have the one guy who was the science guy. He had goggles and he had gloves, and there was one part he shows us this rusty piece of metal, and he has this secret sauce or secret fluid that he pours over it. He wouldn't tell us what it was. It turns out I think it was sulfuric acid.
I was going to say A1. But
it was not, no. A1, yeah. Then he put it on a Big Mac. But no, so it was like watching a commercial for OxyClean, and then he did something that was not, he probably shouldn't have done, which was he poured it into sugar, which makes it, it I guess dehydrates it. It just becomes carbon, so it becomes black like one of those snakes. But there's also a death cloud of doom that comes out with it. Yeah. So it was not well thought out. And the other thing was, after he pours this acid onto this rusty metal, he hands it to his friend who's not wearing protective goggles or gloves or anything. And you're just thinking, it's not just an outfit. People wear this stuff for a reason, it was really, Nathan pointed out what it was, that it was, basically, it was like half a step.
From under the chair, as I recall.
Yeah, from the back of the room as he ran away.
Was it a low-lying cloud of doom?
Well, he kept it contained inside a fish tank that had a little lid on it. So he put the cup of sugar and the acid in there and then closed it. So not
Still
so many
probably not
people died.
Yeah.
Just the first couple of rows.
Still
Yeah.
not a pretty
And
good
this
thing to
had
do in a con room.
What to do with ghost hunting?
Yes.
Yes.
I see.
Yes, because science! It's very easy when you understand the material world to manipulate nature or something.
Did they have the machine that goes ping?
No.
Aww.
Yeah, but you kind of expected them to pull it out at any moment. So.
Ping. I like the machine that goes
Yeah.
ping.
So it was fun crossover, and I met a bunch of sci-fi writers, learned a couple new games and terminology, and it was fun. It's the only thing I had to compare it to was DragonCon, which is a vast, sprawling enterprise that takes over a major city. This was nice. It was cozy and intimate, and I had a great time.
Yeah, we have a con. Actually, it's coming up in May called Balticon.
Mhm.
It is a science fiction and fantasy literary conference. So there's a lot of authors and podcasters and various people who are doing writing type things there. There's a great big contingent of podcasters that come, which is why I like to go, because I hang out with people I don't ever see otherwise. But there's a pretty good science track, and as a budding skeptic track that's done by the National Capital Area Skeptics. Bruce Press, if you know him, he's done talks. The science track, I can't remember the guy's name, but there's a guy from University of Maryland that comes and talks about dinosaurs and paleontology. That is the most. I mean, he's just a wonderful speaker, and I think he's actually going to do a talk for the skeptic track as well this year. But it's a good small con. It's probably similar to that, maybe a little smaller than that. But I like the small con.
Now, they were talking about Balticon at RavenCon. I think there seemed to be a lot of little cons. Someone was telling me that you could go to one every weekend for a different one every weekend for like a year, and not
Well, especially in the summertime.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them. It was awesome.
Was there anything
go ahead.
Poe-y about RavenCon?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Poe.
Yeah. No. Edgar Allan Poe was the well, he wasn't the Ghost of Honor. That was Mary Shelley. But there's a lot of it's RavenCon, so there's a lot of Poe-themed panels. One was Poe and the Spiritualist, which was kind of interesting, and kind of like his busy afterlife. But it was pretty good. There was another one. Oh, it escapes me. But yeah, there were a number of Poe-flavored panels.
Awesome. I'm disappointed that RavenCon with Poe-themed stuff is not. Why is it not in Baltimore? Why? I
think he had a house in Richmond, and there's a museum there, but he was everywhere. That was the thing. He lived absolutely everywhere.
Do something military-ish rather poorly in Virginia?
Poor military.
I don't know.
No.
My son would know the answer to that. He knows everything Poe.
Awesome. I'm impressed.
Connor is a big Poe fanatic. He knows everything about him.
Ah, cool.
Very, very cool. Well, thanks, Bob, for covering RavenCon. And let's see, it's up next is Eve. Eve's got some talk about. What's she talking about? She's talking about.
What you talking about, Eve?
She's talking about WoW, like intelligent stuff, like not
really, no.
Silly.
Yeah.
Not even at all.
Something about Shakespeare, which it has to be highbrow.
Yeah, talking about the same damn thing I was talking about last week. And in fact, if Brian could immediately put up the first slide, this is sort of an audience participation segment this week. So, what do you see here? And this is not a rhetorical question. Specifically, near the top, in the center, in brownish ink, there are two words next to each other, both beginning with the letter B. It's right under the what's at the very top in the middle.
It's in the middle, yeah.
What is the first word in that word pair?
Don't bias people. Don't bias people.
Should I not say anything, or do we?
Don't say anything.
I already said it.
Just have a ponder for the time being.
Okay, so don't say it out loud because I don't want to prime anybody here.
Yes, and if anyone's only read my blog on the subject, yeah, keep quiet. And if you haven't read my blog on the subject, why the hell not? Anyway, so last week I talked about the claim
You are
made
a
by
delicate
booksellers.
flower. You know that, Eve?
Huh?
You are a delicate flower. You know that?
That's me. Yep, sure. A claim made by booksellers George Koppelman and Daniel Wexler that they'd acquired a 16th century dictionary annotated by Shakespeare. It'd be hilarious if they'd said they had a 19th century dictionary annotated by Shakespeare, because that would be
Not far off from what they're claiming.
Yes.
And I've spent the past week puzzling over their claims. I've been reading their book called Shakespeare's Beehive, rolling my eyes, looking things up in the Oxford English Dictionary, rolling my eyes, checking the digitized version of the book, slamming my head against things. So I talked about it on Skepticality. I wrote 2 long blog posts about it on Skeptical Humanities. Apparently, I'm still not quite done. So the page you're looking at is the most extensive example of the annotator's work, because otherwise there's a lot of underlining in some words. But this is a flyleaf on which the annotator's written quite extensively. Most of what he's written here are English.
So, what is this book supposed to be?
A dictionary.
That belong to?
What's supposed to belong to Shakespeare. It was written by a man named John Barrett. It's called the Alviri, which means beehive. It was published in 1580.
Okay.
So, as a flyleaf, most of what the annotator's written are English words and their French equivalents. And remember, this is a multilingual, remember from last week, a multilingual dictionary providing Latin, French, and Greek equivalents of the English words, along with quotations and aphorisms and so on. So Koppelman and Wexler argue that almost all the words on this page, at least the English words, relate to the Falstaff plays, Henry the Fourth Part 1, Henry the Fourth Part 2, Henry the Fifth, which Falstaff doesn't actually appear, but his death is reported, and there's a French scene, and then Merry Wives of Windsor. Now, here they identify the first word as buck, with an E at the end, as is the typical spelling, a fairly typical spelling, and they never, ever, ever question this identification. And what they say is, and I quote, Buck looks to have a hyphen mark at the end of the annotation, connecting it to backwit or backway, turning it, meaning basket, turning it into buck basket or buck backet. And this would be interesting if it were true, because buck basket is an unusual compound. Shakespeare uses it 4 times in Merry Wives, but nowhere else, and the OED only lists one other much later use of the term. However, when I looked at the digitized page to see what they meant about the hyphen, well, at this point I will ask, what do you see?
I see bucket baguette.
Okay.
You're muted.
Bob can't hear
Bob.
you. You're muted.
That's pretty. I see bucket, and I can't quite make out the other one. It looks.
It's very small.
Bagnet or something like that.
Yeah,
The
Eve,
second one is backwit, but
Backwit.
I think
Eve, you are blasting me with your S's for some reason. Could
She
you?
sounds fine to me. So.
She does. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
okay. So what I saw when I looked at the digitized page was bucket. I ended up actually sending an email to the entire English department at my university without explaining what this was or why I was asking about the word until later. And of those who responded, 13 said bucket as either their first or only choice. 2 said bucker. as a possibility. One thought the first letter might be an F, and a colleague's student
could be.
also thought it might be a naughty word. Apparently, my colleague had a student in and said, "What do you think this is?" And she said, "Oh, that's a bad word." One person said bricked, and one said, interestingly, Barrett, which is, as I said, interesting because John Barrett wrote the dictionary, and it was the same spelling of Barrett too.
What are the odds?
What are the odds?
It must be crazy.
Maybe Barb can tell us what the odds are.
Yeah. One colleague with some crazy-ass, unpronounceable last name said he saw, and I quote, a thingy shaped like a turnip. However, this person is known to be unstable.
Was this a street person you just walked up to? Just said, hey, what does this look like?
He had previously said bucket. The name is something like Blasker Snitch. I don't know. I've never been able to figure it out.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah. I've looked at other words on the page, including ones that end in a T, and I still do think it's bucket. And even if there is a hyphen, I'm positive that there's another letter after the E, so that it is not buck hyphen. So if the first word is bucket, then I think the second word, which is, and I believe they're probably right about this, B-A-C-Q-U-E-T, doesn't mean basket. And I should note, by the way, that basket doesn't actually come from French. There is no French word backway, and was never a French word backway. I think I actually, on Skeptical Humanities, may have said that it was French for basket, but that was wrong. And in English, the word should never be, basket would never be spelled, or at least not correctly, without the S. Because it's not like French where you have like silent S's or disappearing S's. So it's either a mistake for basket, or it's a misspelling or variant spelling of bouquet, B-U-C-Q-U-E-T, which is in fact the French word from which bucket derives. And that would be typical again because, I mean, this is a dictionary. Most of those words on the page are English words with the French word equivalent. So
it seems
that would
like
be
there's
another
a pattern
example.
here.
Yeah, exactly. So it seems to me this is an example of confirmation bias on the part of Koppelman and Wexler, that they, at some point, they became sure the annotator was Shakespeare, so they just went to look for evidence to back it up, and aren't really looking just for an answer to a question. So they're doing this the whole wrong way. Another example that, if you have can put up the next slide, and this isn't one I particularly noticed. It was I saw a commenter on the Folger Shakespeare Library blog.
There you go.
Koppelman and Wexler say that the annotator has written in all caps IHS next to U tree, and actually in several places. The U tree is sometimes considered a symbol of resurrection, and apparently there's a tradition that the cross Jesus was crucified on was a U tree. IHS stands for Jesus. It's used by the Jesuits, among others. It's used in lots of places, but the Jesuits do use it. And Koppelman and Wexler somehow were connecting this to Shakespeare's supposed Catholic tendencies. And I found the whole line of argument kind of unconvincing, and I didn't really think that the annotation was actually 3 letters, much less IHS. However, IHS is often written with the letters overlaid, kind of the way, you know, the New York Yankees have their letters on their cap.
Yeah, the Jesuits have them stacked.
Yeah, well, the Jesuits, but not just the Jesuits.
Yeah.
Others, you see it in churches. So I let it slide. But in the comments on this Folger Shakespeare Library blog, Aaron Blake said, I couldn't help but notice that what's described as 3 instances of the IHS monogram after 3 instances of the word U tree is in fact an uppercase italic I and a lowercase italic f, the French word if, meaning, wait for it, yew tree. Not so much a sign of Catholicism as a sign of a dictionary, it seems.
Ugh. Ow.
Yeah, so more confirmation bias.
Yeah, at every turn it sounds like they're seeing exactly what that particular weird thing that they want and need to see constantly.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, familiar story.
Yeah, it's kind of a disaster of an argument.
Yeah.
So, definitely a dictionary, not a Shakespearean dictionary.
I mean, it could be. I suppose it's possible it could be. They just make a very bad argument.
So it's just that their evidence is just weak, and it doesn't really
very,
prove
very weak. Yeah.
Which means it could be.
Could I just throw something in when Eve was talking about the supposed Catholicism, the Catholic tendencies of Shakespeare? This is actually relevant to some of the stuff that we were talking about at RavenCon about ghosts. That at Hamlet, that when Hamlet's father is appearing, this is kind of a fraught time in the.
Are you bringing in the ghost stuff that you got from me?
That I got from the book that you loaned me and read like a big boy, and now officially know and can talk about it? Yes, that's the one. So
I have no idea what you guys are talking about.
Yeah, she's just I don't know. She was very generous in loaning me a book, and now I believe that I have to give her a kidney at some point. So the idea is that this is a period of transition during the Reformation, and in the Catholic cosmology, once you die, you have like a second chance. You have do-over, which is purgatory, and that and ghosts were seen as possibly being evidence of purgatory in the Catholic Church, and so you could say that all the our peeps on the other side say that our prayers are the best prayers for the people in purgatory. They tell us this because when they come back as ghosts, But in the Protestant worldview, purgatory no longer exists. And so the idea is that...
No, it never existed in the Protestant worldview.
Well, exactly. Right. It doesn't exist. And so when you die, you either go to heaven or you go to hell. And one of the conundrums, one of the uncertainties that's at play in Hamlet is whether or not this is actually his father or it's a demon, because in the Protestant worldview it has to be either a saint or a demon.
Or not a saint, because the idea was that you couldn't come back from heaven. You wouldn't come back from hell, probably.
So if it turns out that
it would be a demon pretending to be, yeah.
So and you just never know.
Right, and yeah, and actually the Catholic Church used stories to promote the doctrine of purgatory when it was sort of considered a bit iffy. So ghost stories and purgatory actually developed together.
Mm-hmm. So you can take that history and shove it, is what we're saying.
Yeah. Well, they're all just looking for a loophole anyway.
Pretty much.
Thank you, Eve, for talking about a dictionary in the most interesting way possible. I'm going to do this now. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Time to talk about not psychology, not ghosts, not Bigfoot, robots again. Look at this. I got another walker.
Oh!
Let me hit display. This is not a Boston Dynamics robot.
That looks wild.
This one is done by, this is a research project done by, it's Osaka Institute, Osaka University, sorry. A guy, Professor Ko Hoshoda, which I hope I pronounced it correctly, and 4 other grad students are building it's an experiment to explore natural gaits of animals. And this is actually powered off of pneumatic muscles. So the muscles are powered by air pressure. And what we're looking at right now is it's actually walking without any touch sensitivity, so it's just going through certain motions, so they can record how it works and see how well it works. They're adding touch sensitivity and things like that to it to explore various types of animal gaits. Now the guy mentions that one of the advantages of doing this is so they don't have to like cut the heads off chickens. Now, he actually said that. He was comparing it to animal experimentation to try to explore how animals work. I just think.
Why would you cut off
Walker.
a chicken's head to see how it walks?
There's a yeah. Well, that's.
Is there a thing?
Story. Yeah, there's an old experiment.
Zombie chicken?
Yeah, zombie chicken. It's an old experiment, which I don't have the notes in front of me, but I'm sure someone in the audience is going to say, "Hey, look, it's right here on the internet." But yeah, there have been lots of experiments with real animals, and he wants to do it without animals, which with robots, which I think is cool. I think one is cool that it's another robot walker, and two, it's not Boston Dynamics, which means there's going to be robot walkers everywhere, and I'm going to be happy.
Well, that means that there's going to be competition, and when you introduce evolution into the whole thing, things are going to get much more deadly much more quickly.
Yes.
I was thinking competition more like Thunderdome or.
Well, they have that
Fight Club.
too. They do have a Robot Fight Club, so we're not supposed to talk about it.
No, it's only the robots that can't talk about it.
Yes. No. The robots don't want us talking about it. This next thing is really cool, and I want some of these. These were Thumbles. Thumbles? They're called Thumbles. No, that's the wrong video. Look at that. Let me go back one. Back one, and now I'll hit the play button. And there, we'll see Thumbles. Look, Thumbles. This is from a company called Pattern Studios. It's in New York. And they do lots of different types of displays and touch-sensitive displays and things like that. And they're looking at different ways of doing interactive displays. They've developed these little tiny three-wheel robots that cooperate with a projected display and work as controls. So they'll move into position on their own, then you can grab them and move them around, and it'll actually adjust things in the program. So you get tactile feedback. Instead of, like on a touch screen, you don't usually get tactile feedback. You just have to rub your string on it. These also, because they are driven on their own, so look at that. Isn't that cool? How you move one and it moves the other one to match the control. Also, they give force feedback. So there's a couple of examples they have in here where you're pulling it and it'll drive against your pull because it gives you force feedback. They have a picture of I think it's a protein folding, and if you try to fold it in a way that it doesn't want to, it'll resist. Very, very cool early technology. I can see if they miniaturize these things, or if they do them in large quantities, like some of the other experiments we've seen. This would be a very, very cool tactile display. Very, very cool. So there you go.
Neat.
Next one. Actually, let me put the video away for a second. I am glad to announce that you will be able to legally do research and development on your drone. If you have a drone you're developing. If you go to North Dakota.
No.
I know. Don't you know? You can go to North Dakota and test your drone. How's that? Was that pretty good?
Is that your Australian accent again?
No, that was not. That's my only accent.
It's Fargo. It's Ireland. It's all of
yes, whatever. So into last year, as part of FAA's ongoing progression toward having regulation on drone use in the United States, they announced that they had approved 6 test sites, official drone test sites around the country. There's one in Alaska, there's one in Nevada, there's one in New York, there's one in North Dakota, there's one in Texas, I was going to say Texaco, and then there's one in Virginia. None of these are available yet until now. The North Dakota one is apparently going to be available for use by the summer. There's 2 areas that are going to be open. One of them is at North Dakota State University. There's a place called Carrington Research Extension Center. that apparently you can go and do. It's like a large area of open land. I don't know what kind of land it is. And they have another one called Sully's Hill National Game Reserve, which you can go out and drive.
Scare the animals?
I guess. I guess you can chase them around and shoot them. I don't know. There's all kinds of uses of drones that you might want to.
God, you're cutting the heads off chickens and scaring animals? What? This is the sickest robot apocalypse.
You realize that I am not only just talking about projects that I'm doing personally. These
Oh.
are just in the news.
Oh.
Yeah, I want to do some of them, but
Cutting heads off chickens. That's just a hobby.
There's a whole robot chicken reference there that is just awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
Needs to happen. And let's see. So go test your drones in North Dakota. There's nobody there anyway. This next one, I'm just going to show a little clip of this because it's something you really. Oh shoot. Not the logo. You got to go find this video yourself and watch it yourself and listen to the music. This is a company in I think it's in Philadelphia, yeah, and they make robotic camera platforms, so you can do either aerial photography really inexpensively or do other kind of aerial type videography, and so they have a lot of drones. So they put together this demo that they're traveling around the country and putting on. This was this past weekend. It was at the Science Engineering Festival in D.C., which I was out of town, so I missed it. But they play musical instruments. They fly around and they beat drums and play guitars and keyboards, and they do Carol of the Bells with actual bells.
Ah, fun!
It is very cool to watch, and wow, the technology is getting really smooth with this stuff. So I'll put that in the show notes and go check it out. They are not weaponized yet, as far as I know.
Yeah, when I was at Tech, in one of the rooms next to one of my classrooms, it was a small flight lab where they were working using these little tiny type of drones, and they were filming them in slow motion to analyze their flight characteristics. That's what they were doing in this little room.
So they were filming at high speed so they could play it back.
Yeah, high speed and play it back slowly, and the room was marked off so that you'd always have a reference. But it was impressive stuff.
Was this coordinated flying, like drone, like a swarm behavior type stuff?
No, I think they were looking at the characteristics of the propellers.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Cool. There's a whole lot of engineering in that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Did we get any questions? No questions? Everybody's just accepting the incoming robot apocalypse?
Yeah,
now?
there's nothing we can do. It's.
That's good. That's good. That's my job is well done then.
I was thinking the whole time at RavenCon how much you'd like it because they did, they added a day of robots. So it might be worth your while checking out next time around.
Awesome. I may do that because it's a short drive. Mm-hmm. So there you go. There we have let's see. We have the quadruped with pneumatic muscles. By the way, the name of that thing is called the
Murderbot?
No, it has it's the Newpard. The Newpard. So it's like pneumatic leopard.
No, that's the worst name ever.
It is the worst name ever. Then we have the little feedback bots on the displays, which are pretty awesome. I want to play with. The FAA drone testing ground you can go to in North Dakota, and finally we have Robot Rock. That's right. That's all the robots you can get this week. So there you go. I think we've done all our stories, and we just have to do the last bits, right? Which is Bob. What's the trivia question again?
Well, okay. The trivia question.
I didn't see anybody get it in the.
Yeah, which country has a PsyCop-like organization called roughly the Committee for the Scientific Investigation of Paranormal Phenomena that will have its 65th anniversary next month?
And I didn't see anybody get an answer.
Okay. Hint: waffles.
Waffles. North Dakota?
Is not the answer. Nope. It is the Belgian Committee Para, which was founded in June of 1949, June 4th, 1949.
Yay!
We will have a link up to the second best thing that's ever come out of Belgium.
What was the first? Waffles?
Waffles. Yeah. Oh, wasn't Belgium? Oh God, was it?
What's the dirty word that you?
No, it's a place that was created by God where England and Germany could settle their differences. No?
There are certainly some questions about robots.
Yes, there's a couple quick questions.
Cool.
I'm going to ask these really quick. First up was, what was the name of the display surface robot combo? It's called Thumbles, and it's by a company called, what was the name? It's Patent Studio in Brooklyn, New York. And I will put a link to it. There's also a nice Gizmodo article on it. The other one was, can the DJI Phantom drone be programmed? DJI? Yes. I don't know the DJI Phantom drone program. Sorry, I'll have to go look that one up. Belgium. See, there's some answers that came in after we gave the answer.
Wow.
That's cheating.
You're good.
Yeah, that's like retroactive psychic. I don't know. Fine. Okay, so you guys get your books while I read off a couple of quick announcements. Eve is apparently on Skepticality this week. Actually, she mentioned that, and I bet you she's talking about the Shakespearean dictionary. I'm just wondering. I think I'm getting a psychic premonition or something.
Yeah,
That's what she's going to be talking about. Today, you guys know what TAM, right? If you're watching and you don't know about TAM, go find The Amazing Meeting. TheAmazingMeeting.com.
Not The Amazing.
The Amazing Meeting. The Amazing
Meeting.com. Yep.
Yes. Apparently, what?
Amazingmeeting.com. No V in it.
Yes. Amazing. Yes.
TheAmazingMeeting.com takes you to an Uri Geller fan site.
Probably. But there's this great conference in Las Vegas. It's in July, I believe. It's still in July, right? Today is the last day for the early bird discount. If you're planning on going, go get your tickets because it's gonna get more expensive tomorrow. And if you're on the other side of the world and you haven't got your tickets yet, it's already tomorrow, so you're too late.
Yeah. So there are going to be at least 3 of us there. I don't know if Tim's going. Are you going to go?
I don't believe Tim is going.
No?
Yep. So Bob's going to be there, Eve's going to be there, and Barbara's going to be there?
I'm always there.
Yep. Yeah, I am not going to make it this year, but I'm assuming that someone's going to have me there in effigy like normal. But,
have you there in effigy?
Beard.
I guess does that work? I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll
There'll
talk
be a
about
picture.
it.
Yes.
Talk about you lots, okay?
Take pictures and Photoshop you into them so that.
Yeah, that worked very well last year. Seamless CG.
Seamless.
Yep.
Seamless. Okay. So book time. Who's going first? Barbara, you want to go first this time?
Sure.
Okay, go for it.
Flags. I hope this one makes sense. Given as premises, if P then Q and P, what follows? The valid modus ponens inference is Q. Given if P then Q and not Q, not P follows validly, modus tollens. Given if P then Q and not P, denial of the antecedent, or Q, affirmation of the consequent, nothing validly follows. These problems are examples of conditional reasoning and represent basic problems in propositional logic. That's probably enough of that one.
Wow.
That was philosopher porn, wasn't it? The letters section of the National Journal of Philosophy.
A lot of cognitive psych seems a lot like philosopher porn.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So, okay, up next, go Eve. What's your book? No, don't tell us the book yet. Just read it. Sorry. getting ahead of myself.
There has been considerable discussion of the significance of decapitation in Roman and early Anglo-Saxon cemeteries. Decapitation is perhaps the least ambiguous of all the indicators of deviant burial where confident identification can be achieved. The principal difficulty lies in the reliability of older excavation reports, as it is possible, and indeed likely, that a proportion of the suggested examples of decapitation result either from the truncation or disturbance of graves. The list upon which this analysis is based, therefore, is rather more subjective than might be desired. The recording of cut marks and other evidence for trauma is all too rare. Many instances thus rely on observations concerning the disposition of the skull in the grave.
More light reading. Go ahead, Bob.
The quaint and, in the estimate of fastidious critics, the vulgar term which is employed upon the title page of this work may, in the opinion of many readers, be exceptionable, and by such an apology for its use may be expected, while the partisans of each of the sects in science, philosophy, and religion, which have been chosen for animadversion, may loudly protest against the profanation of their favorite study or chosen occupation by classifying it with the humbugs of the day. Believers in the, quote, celestial science of animal magnetism, for example, will be shocked at the high-handed wickedness of placing them on a level with the deluded victims of ultra-abolitionism.
Wow. My book, it seems like it's a real easy read compared to yours.
It's hop on pop, isn't it?
Yes. No. Someday soon, our technology is going to rise up, and we humans are going to be sliced into bloody chunks by robots that, in our hubris, we decided to design with buzzsaws for hands. That's
It's
a fact.
your dream diary.
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
That's a fact as cold, as hard, and as hard as metal. It is self-evident that our self-driving cars are going to drive us off bridges. Our cell phones are absolutely going to call us up, speak to us in the voices of our trusted relatives, and tell us to get inside our vehicles and prepare for a wonderful tour of the area's tallest bridges. Not long from now, our robo-vacuums, that's a real word, I guess, will pretend to be broken, and our love androids will refuse to put out until the house is cleaned. And we'll know that the inevitable robot uprising has finally arrived. Yeah, I'll stop there.
Please do.
Yeah.
Although you have intrigued me with the idea that there may be robo-flobies.
Robo-floppy.
Can you imagine?
Yes. No. Go ahead,
Okay,
Barb.
well.
What's your book? Tell us your book.
Mine is The Nature of Reasoning by Leighton and Sternberg, psychologist.
I figured it was a textbook.
And it's edited, so I mean it's
Yeah.
by lots of people, but they're
And
the
you
editors.
were, so you were, we were just describing was some kind of logical construct, which I got that far.
Yes, it was actually a section on working memory and reasoning.
I thought it was about the alphabet. Never mind.
Reasoning, clearly. Propositional conditional reasoning.
Interesting. Eve, what's your book?
Anglo-Saxon Deviant Burial Customs by Andrew Reynolds. It's the spine.
Deviant Burial Customs.
Yep. My book
Okay.
is The Humbugs of New York, being a remonstrance against popular delusion, whether in science, philosophy, or religion, by David Meredith Rees, M.D., from 1838. It's an ebook, and I heard about it first, I think, from Daniel Loxton's History of Skepticism.
Wow. Cool.
Yep.
Cool book. Mine is, I just got this, and I haven't read it yet. I'm starting on it this week. It's called Robot Uprisings. It's a collection of short stories, and if you look at the first name on the author list of stories there, Scott Sigler is a friend of
Oh, hooray!
And
And
bunch
Cory
of other,
Doctorow's on there.
Yep, and a bunch of other authors we may know. So it's so far, just getting into the start of it. It's intriguing, and I'm sure that there's material in there that I'm going to love. So there you go. So I guess that's the show. Is it the show? Is there anything else we have left to do? No?
I've got
Yes?
nothing.
Maybe? Okay, too late. Time to put up the logo and start the music.
Thank you, Barb.
Thanks for
Thank you,
having me.
Barb. Yeah.
Yay.
Yay. Now it's time to dance. Dance, Barb. Dance. There we go. Thank you, Skeptics. An independent production of What'sTheHarm.net, Skeptical Humanities, myself, and Doubtful News. Our logo was designed by SparrowMayo.com, and our theme music is by Tremor and used with permission. And I'm whispering now. Bye, everybody.